I hope I'm audible to you and my screen is visible to you. You could just type a yes or no. Okay, thank you. Which was the last example in inheritance? I guess we started with inheritance and we have seen some examples, right? Have a look at this example. Okay, in the base class, we have the calculation class, okay, in which we have two functions, addition and subtraction. Have you done this example? Have you done this calculation example in which addition and subtraction were there in the base class and my calculation extends the calculation and multiplication was there in the derived class? Have you done this example? Okay, anyway, let me continue with this. So there is a class calculation, integer z is a data member, addition and subtraction are the two member function, okay. There is a class called as my calculation, which is inheriting the property of the calculation. We have got a function called as multiplication and it is going to display the product. So in the main class, what I am doing, I am passing the value of a and b to addition, subtraction and multiplication. Okay, addition and subtraction are not there in the my calculation, but they are there in the base class, which is calculation. So these two functions are inherited by the derived class, which is the my calculation. So this addition and subtraction will be called from the base class and the multiplication will be called from the derived class, which is z is equal to x into y, and it is displaying the product The derived class is in a position to access it because by default integer z is not private. Integer z is not private. Are you with me? The multiplication class is in a position to access this value of z for a very simple reason. It has got a default access specifier which could be accessed in the derived class. So when I run the code, let me remove the public. So when you run the code, we get the sum, difference and sum is so and so, difference is so and the product is so and so. So kindly pay attention that you created an object of the my calculation. We made a call to addition, subtraction and multiplication. These were derived from the base class. So have a look at this particular class. Super class has got a data member age. It has got a parameterized constructor. It has got a get age function. We have a subclass which is extending a super class. Okay. It has got a parameterized constructor. There is something new in this example, and that is the usage of the sub. Let me remove the public. Okay. Let me create a separate class so that it becomes easy for us to understand. There is a class main in which there is a main function. I am creating an object of a subclass. The subclass is extending a superclass. The subclass has a parameterized constructor. So if you look over here in this diagram, if you look at this, what I have is base class called as superclass. It has got a parameterized constructor. Okay. It has got a getAge function. There is another class called as subclass. The subclass has got a parameterized constructor. Okay. Now in the main, what I am doing, I am creating an object of a subclass by saying subclass obj equal to new subclass and I am passing a parameter called as 10. Okay. So what happens is it doesn't have a default constructor. Kindly pay attention. It does not have a default constructor. Remember, it does not have a default constructor. Okay. So whenever a child class is created, always and always it will go and first check for the default constructor in the base class. Okay. Default constructor in base class. So let me take you over here. Let me remove this. So whenever I am creating an object of a subclass, okay, control comes here. But before subclass can be created, it has to create a superclass. So control comes here. Do we have a default constructor? We do not have a default constructor. So let me run this code for you. So when I say subclass integer age, okay, there is a superclass over here, there is a subclass over here, there is an integer age. I have not written any code over here. If you want, I can put a SOP over here, and I'm saying create an object of a subclass, but we don't have a default constructor, and I get an error over here. I get an error. So let me do one thing. Let me write super class. Okay, just to check it, I'll put SOP. Default in base class. Okay, default in base class, and let me try to run this particular code. So when I compile and run it, what happens is it first executes the base class default constructor. So I get default in the base class. Okay, pay attention again. So when I create an object of a child class by passing a 24, it has to execute this, but before executing this, it has to go over here to the superclass. Okay, so in the superclass, what happens? We have a default constructor. In the default constructor, we say default in the base class. So this age is the instance data which will be automatically initialized to data, which will be automatically initialized to 0, because we are not pass any argument, because I told you always the default constructor will be called, and we haven't set the value of the age. So after executing this, what happens is I make a call to getAge. Do I have a getAge over here? I don't have a getAge. Do I have a getAge in the base class? Yes, I have a getAge in the base class. So what does it do? It displays the value of the age in the superclass. It displays the value of the age in the superclass, right? Now, what is the value of the age over here? The value of the age is 0. Hence, we get the value of the age as 0. Are you with me? Yes, no? Step 1 executed Please pay attention. Step 1, executed this. Okay. Step 2, made a call to get age. We do not have a get age. So it went into the base class. In the base class, it displays the value of the age, which is 0. Which is 0. Clear? Now, Vartika, kindly your webcam is on. Kindly switch it off. So now what happens is, in the subclass, we have something called as a super age. Okay, we have got something called as a super age. Now what do you mean by this? Let me comment this out now. Let me comment this out. No, let it be. First, let me explain this, how it works. Now in the subclass, what I am doing, I am making a call to the super. Now what do you mean by super? Super means go to the base class and assign the value of age. What is the value of age we are passing? We are passing the age as 24. We are passing the age as 24. Okay, so this age was 24. We made a call to the super. We passed the value as 24. So the control came over here. Okay. Now the confusion is, when this child is created, will it, the sequence will be the same? Will it call this or will it call this? Let's check it out. Whether it will call the default or will it call the superclass parameterized constructor. So let's run it again. So if you look at the output, the value of the variable name age in the superclass is 24. We get that output only. That means this is not executed. That means this is not executed. So what happened was, when I say subclass s is equal to new subclass s 24, control came over here. Okay, now in its constructor we have a super age. So what happened was, because of this, it went and checked whether we have a one argument constructor. Do I have a one argument constructor? Yes. So 24 was assigned to this dot age, which is this one. So when I make a call to this particular get age, what should happen? Get age should come over here and should retrieve the value of the age, which is 24. That means, can I remove this default constructor now? Yes, I could. Let me run this and now let's check it. Okay, understood. So what was taught to you is, when a derived class is created, we should compulsorily have the base class default constructor. But we can skip that particular one if you have something called as a super along with the parameterized constructor in the derived class. So if I have something like super and the one argument constructor, provided this is there in the base class, then you need not have a base class default constructor. Then you need not have a base class default constructor. Are you with me? So what I wanted to tell you is something like this. Scenario 1. There is a base. There is a derived. We create an object of a derived class by saying derived obj equal to new derived. Okay, I pass a value 10. Do I have the parameterized constructor over here? Yes, I have a parameterized constructor. Does it have a super? No, it does not have a super. It does not have a super. Okay, so step 1, where it goes to the default constructor. It goes to the default constructor of the base class. Clear? So this is the first constructor call. Then it comes over here and calls the remaining function. What is the remaining function I'm calling? I'm calling the get age. I'm calling the get age. Since I didn't assign any value in the default constructor, it will pick up the value as 0. It will pick up the value as 0. Second condition, we have a base. Okay. We don't have a default. We don't have a default. We have a parameterized. Here also we had a parameterized. We don't have a default. Default is not there. We have a get age. There is a derived class. In the derived class, I'm again creating an object of the derived class. But in the parameterized constructor, there is a super X. So when you have super X, we are explicitly telling go and executes the parameterized constructor of the base class. As a result of which I am assigning the value 24 to the age. I am assigning the value 24 to the age. So default is not required in this particular scenario. So if you have a super in the derived class, okay, so it is going to make a call to the appropriate constructor, then we can skip the default. Is it clear both the scenarios where we have a super in one of the example, we do not have a super in the another example. So if you look at the code, that's what I have done. There is a base class, there is a parameterize, there is a getAge, there is a subclass, there is a parameterize. In the parameterize, what I have done, I use super. So what does super do? Super takes me here, assigns the value, no need of a default constructor. No need of a default constructor. In case this line is not there, in case the line is not there, then what will happen? This subclass will directly go and check for the default constructor. Do we have a default? No. So it will give me an error. So it will give me an error. I'm copying the code for you. Kindly go through it for 2 minutes, and if you have any doubts, kindly raise it. If it's a multi-level inheritance such as A, B, and C, C should have call to super, super will make a call to B, B should have a super, super will make a call to A. Is it clear, Vishal? No, it can only call the immediate above class. Super can only take you to the base class, immediate base class. Vishal, question was something like this. There is A, there is B, there is C, there is D, and there is a main. Okay, in the main, what I do, I create an object of a derived class. Okay, so what it should do, super should make a call to this, their super should make a call to this super should make a call to it. You directly cannot jump from D to A, neither D to B. Yeah, if you say super, it will take me here. Then from here, you type a super, it should take me here. Then from here, super should take me over here. The code is given to you. Kindly work on it and tell me if you have any doubt. Super age is making a call to the base class constructor. Super age is making a call to the base class parameterized constructor. No, we cannot skip. We cannot jump from D to A. We have to go to the immediate parent. That means D can only and only go to C. C can only and only go to B. B can only and only go to A. Is it clear? Take the output of the following code. Have a look at this particular code and tell me what should be the output. There is a class superclass. Okay, it has got int num20. It has got a display function. There is a public class called as subclass, which is inheriting superclass. It also has a data member num equal to 10. This has num, this has num. It has got a display function. Okay, there is a class, there is a function called as my method in the derived class, in which I am creating an object of the subclass. Kindly pay attention. There is a superclass, there is a child class. My child class is not ending. My child class has got two functions, display and my method. In the my method, what I do, I create an object of a subclass. Then I say sub.display. So what should happen? Control should come here. Then I say super.display. Super.display should take me to the base class and display it. Okay, and then I'm trying to display the contents of sub.num and super.num. Sub.num and super.num. This is an object called as sub. So what should sub.num give me and what should super.num give me? Clear? So over here, what I'm doing, there is a main class over here. There is a main class over here in which I create an object and make a call to the my method. Make a call to the my method over here. Okay. So this everything is there in the subclass. Everything is there in the subclass. Kindly pay attention. You are creating two objects. One in the my method, another in the main. Another in the main. This won't work. Base class, superclass, data member num, display function, derived class, subclass, data member num having a function display. There is a my method which is making a call to the display. There is super.display. So if you look at the diagram, okay, what is the name of the base class? Name of the base class is superclass. The name of the derived class is subclass. The superclass has got a data member int num. It has got a function display. There is a derived class called as subclass. It has got a data member int num. It has got two function display. It has got a function called as, I guess it is called my method. There is a main class. In the main class, what I do, I create an object of a subclass. Okay, let me check if I'm passing any parameter. No, I'm not passing any parameter. And then what I do, I'm making a call to my method, obj dot my method. Now this will make a call to this particular function, my method. Okay. Now what is my method doing? My method is making a call to display. Okay. This my method has a first line as display. So it will come, this particular my method is in which class? Subclass. So where it will go and check for the display in the subclass. So it will execute this particular function, step A. Then I have a line called as super dot display. I have a line called as super dot display. So what should display do? Display should make a call to the base class display function. I hope it is clear to you. This display will make a call to the base class display. So have you understood the sequence in which the program is running? Now, so this display will make a call to this particular display, okay? And in case you display the value of the num, what it is going to display? It is going to display 10. It is going to display 10, okay? This super dot display makes a call to this, and in case we are displaying the value of the num, what it should display? 20. So this particular sub dot num, we don't need it. We simply have to say num will give me the value as 20, which is 10, which is this one, and this super dot num should give me 20. Is it clear to you? Any doubt in this example? No, you cannot do that. It is not a static function. Any other question? Data members are not overridden, only the functions are overridden. Data members are the entity, they hold the data, so there is no concept of overloading, overriding with them. Only it is related to the functions and constructor. They are different. Separate memory is allocated. Super class will have a separate memory of the num. The derived class will have a separate memory of the num. Now animal B is equal to new dog. Can we do this? Can a reference of the base class made to point to the object of a derived class? Yes. Can it be? So what does animal B is equal to new dog means? My reference of the base class can be made to point to an object of a derived class, because new dog is going to create an object of a dog class. So when I say b dot move, what should happen? It should make a call to the move of the dog class. Move of the dog class. So let me run this. So when you run this particular code, animal A is equal to new animal, animal B is equal to new dog. So when I say a dot move, what happened? Object reference was of the base class, object is of the base class, so it should come here and display animal can move. Then I say animal B is equal to new dog, so reference of the base class pointing to an object of a derived class. So derived class has got a move function over here. Dog can walk and run. So you get dog can walk and run. Now what I am doing? I am commenting this out. I am commenting this. Yeah. And now I am running it. When I run it, let's see what happens. Is it in the position to go to the base class or not? Let's check it. So we don't have a move in the derived class. Okay, we don't have a move in the derived class. My line says animal B is equal to new dog. So when I say animal B is equal to new dog, what happens is I am saying my reference is pointing to an object of a dog class. Perfectly fine. Do we have the move function? No. Are we inheriting animal? Yes. So it will go in the base class and say animal can move. Animal can move. Is it clear to you? So what we learned in this example, a base class reference can be made to point to the derived class. A base class reference can be made to point to the derived class. Any doubt in this? So let's complicate this example. There is a class animal with the move, there is a class dog extends animal, there is a move, and what I did, we added one more function called as bark. We added one more function called as bark. Yeah. And now let's have the fun with the code. Let's see whether we have really understood the concept or not. So let me just make more space for you. Well, there is a drop-in collection. So if you look over here, b dot bark is giving me the error. B is a reference type animal, doesn't have a bark method. So kindly pay attention when I do something like this. Animal B is equal to new dog, and you are trying to refer to the function. That function should be there in the base class. Do I have that bark function in the animal class? I do not have it. So this line is going to give me an error, even though there is a bark method in the derived class. Even though it is there in the dog class, it is not going to run because my reference is of the base class. Do I have the bark function over here? I do not have the bark function. So it is going to give me an error. Is it clear? Let me explain this again. There is a class animal. There is a class dog extending animal. There is a move, there is a bark. So this line was pretty straightforward. If I do dog D is equal to new dog, it is going to make a call to move as well as bark. If I write this code dog D is equal to new dog, I can make a call to the move as well as to the bark, no problem. But when I say animal B is equal to new dog, you can make a call to the move, but you cannot make a call to the bark. Why? Because what it says is my reference variable is of the animal class and you should be in a position to refer to that particular method in the base class. Do I have a bark function in the base class? No. So it is going to give me an error. Let me give this code so that in case you have any doubt, you could raise it. I'll wait for 2 minutes. Yeah, no issues. If you create an object of a dog class by saying dog D is equal to new dog, you should be in a position to make a call to the move and the bark. Any other question? Any questions? Method overriding. Is it clear? So if I create an object of a dog class, I can make a call to the move as well as to the bar. Because my object, my reference is of the derived class The object is also of the derived class, so there shouldn't be any issue in making a call to this. This particular function is called because this method is overriding this method. But when I say animal B is equal to new dog, then there is an issue if you make a call to bark because bark is not there in the animal. Since it cannot refer to it at the compile time, it gives me an error. I hope it is clear to class animal, public void move, class dog extends animal, public void move in which I have super dot move. Okay, then I have an SOP. Then I say animal B is equal to new dog, B dot move. So what do you think should be the output? So animal B is equal to new dog, reference of the base class, object of a derived class. I say B dot move. So this move is going to override this, but there is a super dot move. So animals can move should be there. And then what should happen? Dogs can walk and run should be there. Okay, have a look at this particular code. There is a class bank which says get rate of interest. There is a class called as SBI which is saying return 8.4. There is ICICI which is returning 7.3. There is an Axis which is saying 9.7. These are just some imaginary rate of interest. Okay, nowadays we do not get this kind of a rate of interest. Then there is a class called as polymorphism. So let me change this to main. I am saying bank B. So diagram says base class is bank. There is a get rate of interest. There is a SBI which is extending bank. There is ICICI which is extending bank. There is a Axis which is extending bank. Okay. All of them have got get rate of interest. So your diagram will look something like this. There is a bank class. Okay, it has got a function called as get rate of interest. There is a SBI. There is ICICI. There is an Axis and so on. Okay, all of them are derived from bank. And this also has something called as get rate of interest. Get rate of interest. Get rate of interest. Okay. So now what I can do, I can say bank B. So B is a reference of which class? Bank class. So no memory is allocated. So no memory is allocated. So when I say B is equal to new SBI, what should happen? And when I make a call to get rate of interest, so my reference is of the base class. I'm creating it by saying point it to the derived class. What is the name of the derived class? SBI. So when I say get rate of interest, what should happen? It should return the rate of interest of SBI. Then I can say B is equal to, now make it point to ICICI. So now this is no longer pointing to SBI, but it is pointing to ICICI. So when I say B, get rate of interest, what should happen? You should get a rate of interest of ICICI. Similarly, when I say B is equal to new Axis, and when I say get rate of interest, what should happen? It should make a call to the get rate of interest. So this particular base reference of the base class being made to point to the derived class to call the appropriate function of the derived class is called polymorphism. Polymorphism means many form. Polymorphism means many form. So if I am creating an object of an SBI, kindly make a call to this. If I am creating an object of ICI, make a call to this. If I am making a call to Axis, kindly make a call to this. It is polymorphic. Based on what object is being created, an appropriate get rate of interest is being called. Are you with me? So in my example, I said B is equal to new SBI. Get rate of interest will be for SBI. B is equal to ICICI. Get rate of interest will be for ICICI. B is equal to Axis. Get rate of interest will be for Axis. If you have any doubts, kindly raise it. So let's have one more example. There is a base class called as shape. It has got a function called as draw. There is another class called as rectangle, which is extending shape. There is a circle extending shape. There is a triangle extending shape. Okay. There is a class called as main. In the main, what I do, I have a reference of the base class, and then I'm saying S is equal to new rectangle, S is equal to new circle, S is equal to new triangle, and then I'm saying S dot draw. So it should make a call to which class? Rectangle, drawing rectangle. S is equal to new circle, S dot draw should make a call to the draw of the circle. S is equal to new triangle, S dot draw should make a call to the draw of the triangle. Any doubt you have? Yes, no? Okay. Have a look at this class. Now, what you should do is you should give me the output. This is going to check your knowledge. Okay. So I'll be showing you the program. You have to write the output after a minute. After a minute, write down the output on the screen. So in this case, I'm creating an object of a dog class. Okay, I say d.work. So do we have a work function? Yes. It says super.8. So it should make a call and display 8. There is a person class having ID and name. It has got three parameters. It has got two parameters, two parameterized constructor. There is a class EMP which extends person. The TMP class has got a parameterized constructor which takes three parameter. There is a super, there is a this, there is a display function which displays ID, name and salary. You have to tell me whether this code will execute or not. Will the following code compile and run? Yes. So let's see how it works. EMP E1 is equal to new EMP1 A 4500. 4,000, no, 45,000. F indicates it's a float value. So it will come to the parameterized constructor of this particular class. In this parameterized constructor, what I do? I basically make a call to the super. I pass two parameter ID and name. What is ID and name? 1 and A. So the control comes over here to the base class. In this I have ID, I have name. ID is 1, name is A. Since my ID and name are having the same name as a data member, on the left hand side I should say this dot ID is equal to ID, this dot name equal to name, which is 1 and A. Done. So when I make a call to the display function, do I have an ID over here in the derived class? EMP, no. So ID will be picked from here. Do I have a name over here in the derived class? No. So it will go and pick up from the derived class. Do I have a salary over here in the derived class? Yes. So it should display ID as 1, name as A, and salary as 45,000. Is it clear to you? So The super has to be the first line. If I remove this and do something like this, let's see what happens. Call to super must be the first statement in the constructor. Is it clear to you? Call to the super must be the first statement. You cannot make a call to super after assigning the value. So super should be the first line. Let me check. Any other questions are there? So let's have ID and name over here. Okay, in the derived class. Understood? And here I am not assigned the value. I am simply saying super. So obviously it is going to make a call to the base class. Because the super is going to make a call to the base class constructor and it is going to assign the value. In case there was no super, then let's see what happens. If there was no super out over here, then this particular data of ID and name would have been assigned to this particular ID, but it would have given me an... Okay, let me ask you a question. See, there is a class person, okay, which has got ID and name. It has got a parameterized constructor. There is a class AMP in which also I have got ID and name. I have got a parameter constructor. I do not have this line. I do not have this line. Okay, and here I am saying this dot ID is equal to ID, this dot name equal to name, this dot salary equal to salary. Will the my code work? Yes or no? Will my code run? Yes, no. Why it doesn't run? See, class person data member ID and name, parameterized constructor, class name 3 parameter, no super. There is no default constructor in the base class. So let's have a default constructor in the base class. Okay. Now the question is, I have a default constructor in the base class. So it will go here, then it will come here. Okay, and I am saying this dot ID is equal to so and so, so and so, so and so. Super has been commented. Is a display function which is giving me ID, name and salary. Now which ID, name and salary it is going to display? Of the person class or of the EMP class? Of the EMP. Of the EMP. Here you do not say that the data members are overridden. You simply say that the data members of the derived class are being used because super is not used. Because super is not used. There is a class which has got a data member called as speed. It has got a constructor. It has got an initialization block. Okay. What should be the output in this case? Bike B1 is equal to new bike. Bike B2 is equal to new bike. 100. Now, first step is initialization block is called. So, what is the first step before calling the object? Initialization block is called. As soon as object is created, before the constructor is called, it will make a call to this initialization block. Speed will be assigned as 0. Okay. So, it will come here to the default constructor and display the value as 100. Each and every object is going to have the value as 100. If you want that each and every object should be assigned the value 100, then don't make it as instance data, make it as a static data and use a static initializer block so that it has got a default value before any object is created. Before any object is created. There is a class A having a constructor, there is a class B having a constructor, there is an initialization block in the derived class. Okay, kindly pay attention. There is a initialization block in the derived class. Okay. Constructor ends over here. The constructor ends over here. Clear? And I am saying B is equal to new B. To make the life easy, A. You can answer. My initializer block was not there in the base class, it was there in the derived class. So let's see whether it makes any difference or not, or still the initializer block is called. If we look at this particular code, what was told to you before class B will be executed, what should happen? The base class should be created. And when you create a base class, what should happen? The constructor should be called A. Then what happens before the constructor of the derived class will be called? There is something called as an initializer block to be called. So it makes a call to it, displaying the C. And then finally, the constructor of the derived class will be called, which is B. Whether you write a super or not doesn't make any difference in this case, because the default constructor of the child class is always going to make a call to the default constructor of the parent class. Is it clear? I'm creating an object of a child class. So when the child class is created, what is the first thing to be created? Base class. Hence this constructor is called. We get the answer as A. then the constructor of the derived class should be called. But there is something called as an initializer block in the derived class. What should happen? It should execute first. So we get C. And then finally the derived class B will be coming. Is it clear? Last example and then we'll stop. There is a class A having a default constructor. There is a class B having a default constructor. The class B also has a parameterized constructor. Does it have a initializer block? Yes. And in the main, I am creating two objects. B1 is equal to new B, B2 is equal to new B. You have to tell me how it is going to work. What should be the output? So let me see some of the output. Okay. ADB, ADC 10.